Hello, I am Adam Steiner with Now Gaming, and welcome. In this video, I'll be showing you how to install the Uphere AC12RGB CPU cooler. This guide will also work with the Uphere AC12BE and the AC12RD, since they are the same heatsinks. Now, speaking of heatsinks, do you like learning about computers and computer hardware? If you do, then think about subscribing to the channel and click that bell icon to get notifications, because I am releasing new videos all the time. But enough with that, back to installing the AC12RGB CPU cooler. I will be installing this on an AMD AM4 motherboard, but there are a few things that I recommend and then other things that you will need before we start. You will need the pre-installed AM4 CPU cooler brackets, assuming you are installing this on an AM4 platform. And if you are upgrading from the stock AMD Wraith cooler, you will need to reinstall them. So if you have misplaced them or you threw them out, you will need to buy them. Now Amazon and Newegg both sell them, links in the description below. Now the installation will be easier if you are able to do this in an open area and have a sturdy surface like a table or a desk. I like using a mat to protect the surface of the table and protect my computer hardware. I use an extra large mouse pad, but in a pinch, a piece of cardboard can work. I have also used the motherboard's box. Now, if your motherboard is currently in the case, I suggest removing it from the case as well as removing any hardware that is currently on the motherboard. This is so that there is nothing in your way while you're installing the cooler. You will need a PH2 screwdriver, as well as thermal compound. The Uphere AC12RGB does come with some thermal compound, but I am opting to use my Arctic MX4 instead. When you're installing the CPU cooler brackets, make sure that the little notches are facing away from the CPU socket. If you are upgrading your CPU cooler and your CPU is still in the socket, you will need to make sure that it is clean. You can use isopropylene alcohol and some toilet paper to remove any thermal paste residue. Now, if your CPU is new or you're just putting it into a new motherboard, this is when you'll be putting it into the socket. By lifting the retention arm and aligning the arrow on the CPU with the arrow on your motherboard, then place your CPU in the socket softly and confirm that the CPU has no sides or corners raised up. If there is a side or corner that is not sitting flat, try picking up your CPU and re-sitting it into the socket softly. Sometimes wiggling the CPU a little can help get it to sit properly, but never push down on the CPU. Once the CPU is flat and in the socket, lower the retention arm and lock it. Now you'll want to remove the fans from the AC12RGB heatsink. You do this by squeezing the metal hinges and lifting them away from the heatsink. You may want to do this one fan at a time, then you'll want to do the same to the other side of the heatsink. Now you'll need to remove the sticker from the underside of the heatsink, and this is where we apply the thermal compound to the top of the CPU, which is called the IHS, the Integrated Heat Spreader. Then align the heatsink with the CPU and latch one side of the heatsink to the CPU cooler bracket. Then flatten the heatsink over top of the CPU and latch the second side of the heatsink down over the CPU cooler bracket. This may take a fair amount of force. Now you need to reattach the fans to the heatsink, and we're done installing the CPU cooler. Now you can finish assembling the rest of your computer, and that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, think about subscribing, leave a like, comment, do all that good stuff, and see you next time.